Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining APQC's June Education Membership Knowledge Session. As a reminder, audio is available through your computer speakers or dial-in lines, and all attendee lines are muted. This is the Q&A tool located on the right of your screen. If you have any questions during the presentation, please submit them here, and we will answer them at the end of the webinar. This webinar will be recorded, and you will receive a copy of the slides as well as the recording in a few days. I would now like to pass the presentation off to Member Success Manager, Sarah Brill.
Good morning, everybody. I just want to welcome you to, we do a monthly orientation around, and just I'll let you know this is for those in the K through 12 space, because we have a little bit of a different model for that industry. Certainly, anybody's welcome to attend. As I said, my name is Sarah Brill, and I'm the Member Success Manager for all of K through 12. This is a little bit about what we'll cover today, who we are, about membership, why the organization's turned to APQC. We'll go through some of the best practices and benchmarking resources that are available to you. We'll do a guided website tour to see what it looks like live, and then some additional resources, next steps, and questions. So APQC is located in Houston, Texas. We have one location and do work all over the globe. We were started in 1977 by C. Jackson Grayson. He had an illustrious career before he became price controller under Nixon and was vehemently against price controls, got the country out of that situation in 11 months, but noticed that the productivity levels of Japan and other countries were far surpassing the United States. So when he left that position, he went across the country and raised money to start APQC. Then it was known as the American Productivity Center. Then we added quality. It was American Productivity and Quality Center, because you can't have productivity without quality and vice versa. And now we go through we go by APQC because we're virtually global. Our APQC is the world's foremost authority in benchmarking best practices, process and performance improvement, and knowledge management. Our unique structure as a member-based nonprofit makes a differentiator in the marketplace, and we partner with more than 550 member organizations worldwide in all industries. And then we've made a strategic initiative to grow our educational presence, and the APQC North Star Education membership helps education leaders capture, scale, and sustain transformation to improve student outcomes. Our mission is threefold. We conduct primary research. So when you go to our knowledge base or things that we push out content, it's primary research. It's not from another source. And we conduct research to discover and document world-class business practices. We share those proven methodologies and processes, and we help connect organizations and people together. And we assist organizations around the world in adapting and using benchmarks and best practices. The mission for K through 12, because as I said, we've expanded that focus, is to utilize, so in 1996, Jack Grayson felt that the corporate side of America was definitely responding to benchmarking and best practices, and it was in good hands. We have certainly here at the center had many clients and members, and so he made a dedicated effort to turn to K through 12, because he truly felt if we didn't improve our K through 12 education system, we would lose our world competitiveness. So he felt that he wanted to take the same strategies that have transformed business to enhance the U.S. education system. So looking at the input, money, technology, people, and educational process of looking at process and performance management and improving those outcomes, including student achievement, empowerment, global competitiveness, continuous improvement, efficiency, and effectiveness. And North Star is kind of our, I don't want to say slogan, it's kind of our mantra that if you're always looking, following the North Star towards improvement. The Grace and Guarantee, which is this is something more internal than external, but I like to share it because we really, it's something that guides us internally. It's kind of our customer service guarantee that you'll work smarter, faster, and with greater confidence with our expertise and services. And the underlying values shown here are what drive us. So we want to make sure we give you trustworthy answers. We want to help give you lasting solutions. We don't want to just come in and give you a quick fix. We want to show you how to sustain that change. Fearless creativity and structured innovation, individual collection for contribution for collective achievement, and continual learning, sharing, and growth. A little bit about APQC. As I said, we have over 550 organizations that span 45 industries. And at the end of 2016 is when we opened up APQC membership to K-12. When I say open up, we offered different pricing that was scalable for education, where a membership for a corporate entity is $25,000. The way we do that for K-12 is based on the number of schools in the district, and it taps out at $5,000 because we can't $5,000 because school districts don't have the resources. So they, since we've done that, our fastest growing sector has been the education K-12 space. Some of our highlights along the way, for those of you who may be familiar, we co-founded the Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award. We developed our taxonomy, the PCF, which is our most downloaded piece of content, which I'll show you in a moment. We began helping school districts, as I said, it was just a little over 20 years ago. And we started our open standards benchmarking collaborative, and this is collecting data. We have the largest process-oriented metrics database in the world. In 2008, we created the C. Jackson Grace and Distinguished Quality Pioneer Medal. For those of you familiar with knowledge management, we've been a 4-time winner for Makes Companies That Matter in Knowledge Management, and then the same organization for outstanding performance, and 9-time North America winners. So we're some wonderful things that we're very proud of. A little bit about APQC membership. So the APQC North Star Education membership, every school district is a member. So if you have, depending on, as I said, the number of schools in your district, you pay that fee annually. Every school district is a member. You sign in with your district domain name, and it recognizes you as a member. And that gives you complete access to content, benchmarking, and best practices data pertaining to all research disciplines. And we'll spend a moment here showing you what we focus on. So we go into districts and we look at their processes. And we focus on financial management, human capital management, knowledge management, and supply chain management. And we cover 24 very specific processes among these areas. And so organizations might be looking at their procurement process or their accounts payable. And we help find ways to identify redundancies, maybe streamline that. And that's where we hope to free up dollars and put those into the classroom. We'll go into that a little bit more. Many school districts I initially talked to say, we don't have processes. We're not a business. Well, you are a business. You're an organization that has goals. And again, you do have processes. You may not know what those processes are, and therein lies some room for improvement. And then finally, you have a network with a community of peers who share common challenges. And more so than in other areas, I find that districts are so open. I was just talking to a district that wanted to, they're measuring first-time proficiency in a certain type of testing. We didn't really have any documentation on that, but I was able to connect them with a district that's doing that and seeing some really great results. So why members use APQC? To set up a new function or role. Sometimes they need some guidance, tools and templates, best practices. Validate a recommendation or position. We collect data around FTEs and it helps districts make the case for it. Assess performance. We talked about looking in and identifying redundancies. We're seeing where you're performing. Sometimes organizations think they need to be focused on something, and then when they kind of look at some of the metrics and the best practice data around that, so they're doing pretty well, and they find some other areas that might be more fruitful. Fix the current problem. Fix the problem or improve current operations, and grow personal expertise. So many of the people I talk to say they just love it for their own professional development. So there's 3 resources that I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview on, and then I will walk through those live. The knowledge base is our information repository, and this is the world's largest online source of best practices and business drivers, benchmarks and metrics, case studies, and other unique content based on primary research. Our research covers 70 different process areas, and within that knowledge base that you have access to as a member, there's over 5,000 pieces of content. And again, as I noted before, that's primary research. Over 700 case studies, over 1,000 best practices and business drivers. There's reports and books. There's tools and templates. There's presentations from our conference speakers as well as conferences that we attend. So it is a vast amount of information. Our process classification framework, I just wanted to point this out. This is a document at its simplest level is a list that organizations use to define work processes comprehensively and without redundancies. And organizations use the PCF, the process classification framework, to standardize definitions around processes, to benchmark internally and with other organizations, align IT rollouts and updates for similar processes across the organization, discuss organizational performance using the same terminology across business units and departments, and to organize enterprise content and knowledge. So it becomes the one true kind of set of activities that are in your district. This is, I've brought up the first page, or pulled out some of the first page for education. We have many cross-functional, we have several different frameworks specific to different industries. So, for example, this one focuses on some of the areas that are specific to education. The second resource is our benchmarking portal. And there's 3 different forms of assessment tools that you have access to. I'm going to start over here, because this is our most comprehensive tool. It allows you to go in, and as I said, we'll go through this in a minute live, but take a look at 24 different processes. There's surveys set up for, say, accounts payable. And you actually input your data, and then you would get a detailed report that shows where you're performing compared to those in the top quartile, bottom, and median, and what some of those key process indicators are. That typically takes, once you've gone through the validation, which I'll explain in a moment, typically takes about 2 weeks to get that report. Some people don't have time, don't collect that level of data. So we have our rapid performance assessment, which is an executive summary, identifying possible performance problems at the function level in your organization. So again, you would fill that out. Typically, where these might be 100 questions, this might be 10 to 15. And so you get a high-level report of your organization's performance at the function level. And the turnaround time for that is 2 business days. This is a great place. I've worked with a lot of districts to start here just to get kind of a feel, kind of tip their toes into seeing how that's going to work and to identify some areas for improvement. Some districts don't have any time or any data, or don't want to share their data. So the benchmarks on demand allows you to just go in and identify the metrics you want to bring up and what criteria you want to apply to that data. And it instantaneously will give you that data and the top and bottom performer and across your revenue range, your districts, and your size. So that's a great tool. Again, it helps identify if you're moving. Sometimes people use it to see if they want to focus on what they have determined. And thirdly, APQC's tool for managing processes in your organization. This is a relatively new tool. It's a cloud-based solution that creates a common language in your organization to move past defining what the business does and into how the work is done. So it really incorporates the detailed processes, the flow, any kind of asset that's associated with that process you can upload. You can create custom frameworks. Once you're in here, it'll automatically bring up the top 3 best practices for those different processes that you're focusing on and the top 3 metrics. And that Mosaic can be part of a centralized process function. You might be focusing on a single area. Something at a centralized location or a decentralized process function. It helps get people on board to break through those process silos, and that's where you might identify some redundancies. Those professional service firm can utilize this, or an internal consultative arm, and it helps create process management tool synergy. And it helps align strategic goals with an executive dashboard. And then you can customize a process. It helps you customize your process framework. These are some screenshots from Mosaic, and if anybody is interested in this, what I would love to do is you can send me a quick email. It has my contact information at the first page, and I would set up a quick tutorial. I'll send you an email that has a tutorial in it, as well as set up some time with John Tesmer, who developed this tool. He's the director of our Open Standard Benchmarks, and he can go into much more detail and more effectively. We also have an advisory services arm, and anything that we offer through APQC, this would be an add-on service, but if you're a member, you do get a 20% discount. If you want to come to our conferences, if you want to come to, if you have some advisory service needs, all of that's a 20% discount. We also offer 2 conferences a year. Upcoming at the end of September, beginning of October, is our Process and Performance Management Conference here at APQC. It's actually on the grounds. We're on the grounds of the Houstonian Hotel. Beautiful location in Houston. We are connected by a bridge link. And this one has a specific track dedicated to K through 12. So we all have subject matter experts, district superintendents, and personnel coming to talk about their different process journeys. And then the first 3 days, the conference is October 3rd and 4th, and then we offer training, and that's a separate fee, but that is all around process and performance management. And then we do, this is actually, I think, our 26th or 24th maybe, Knowledge Management Conference. We do that in the spring, and it's gotten to be so big, we now move from our location to the west end, just a few miles away. But that is also an amazing conference. And then we also offer a series of webinars and community calls. We share findings from research, including best practices, benchmarks, case studies, and trends on topics ranging from process improvement to knowledge management. And so again, we'll take those disciplines that those areas such as knowledge management and the finance and accounting, human capital management, and we typically have one per month on those areas. So now I'm going to actually get out of here for a minute, and I want to go into this. I'm taking you live to our website, and this is the home page. And the way that you get there is www.apqc.org. And as you can see, well, Madison signed us in this morning, but typically it'll say welcome, Sarah. And when you do need to sign in to navigate the website. It won't give you access to all the content, but it will take you up to the point of you'll be able to look through our knowledge base. You'll be able to see some things. So we encourage you to do that. Additionally, there's content on there that's available to non-members, and that's part of our nonprofit status. So there's things that you will be able to access. You will set up, I encourage you to set up a profile. It'll let you can choose a primary area of interest so that when we send out content, we know what you're interested in. And then also the peer searchable option. And this is a service that we offer. If you, like for example, Madison didn't sign up, but she could utilize it as a member. And it's for people who want to connect. So if you want to share what you've learned, people can connect you. So it goes through our main server and reaches out to the contact and says, XYZ wants to talk to you about something. And if they agree, it puts you in direct contact. And this has been very successful and very fruitful for K-12. As I said, they really like to talk to each other about what they're doing. So looking again at the 3 resources we talked about, bringing up the knowledge, the knowledge base, or the KB as we refer to that. The first thing you're going to see is the knowledge base recommended by APQC staff. This is kind of our staff picks. We have a group of internal and external subject matter experts that contribute to our knowledge base, and these are kind of their staff picks at the moment. You can always look at, actually this one, this Process of Performance Management Challenges and Priority Survey. There's one for education as well. But you can, even as a non-member, click on these, and it'll give you a little bit of an overview. You won't be able to download it, but it'll tell you when it was published, how long it is, and gives you some idea if it might be something of interest. Going back to, and then there's recent downloads, and this shows you what's been downloaded by your peers over the last 2 weeks, kind of a running, what are the top 5 downloads. And then just in is anytime something new comes out, we'll put it up here, and you can see that right away. So if you're on here a lot, it's a great way to look at content. I'm going to point this out because this is going to be a great webinar coming up. Teacher America is a member, and they will be talking about adult learning practices, and they've done a lot in the KM space. So this is going to be an awesome webinar. I encourage you to sign as well as the recorded podcast. So if you think something's going to come up, just go ahead and sign up. And as you can see, there's several others. So this is kind of the way that you can access content here is a Google type search. So one of the things, I was on a call yesterday, they were talking about hiring and retention. I'm just going to use that. I'm just going to bring that up. So it came up with 789 pieces of content that would be relevant to that topic. And this allows you, certainly you're not going to go through 789 pieces of content. This allows you to screen that content. Maybe you just want to look at case studies. Then you want to further refine that by a section of the PCF or industry. And again, so this will bring up, now you're down to 45, and you might want to just, look through some of these. Again, you can always look at the title to get the overview and get a feel for what that content piece is. As a member, you can just, you can download that. A couple of other things I like to just go. You can always hit up here to get back to the home page for the knowledge base. And this Ask Us is a great resource. So say you're looking for something and not finding it, you're too busy to look, we encourage you to let us know what it is that you're looking for. If this will come directly to me, I reach out again to our subject matter expert community, and we'll cull through the research. We'll see what we can find for you. Maybe you have a question. I'm working on XYZ, and we're starting it. This is your connection to our subject. It's kind of like having a consultant on hand. reach out to us. If we don't have any answers, certainly we'll let you know that. 9 times out of 10, we're able to provide content, may bring in one of our subject matter experts to talk with you about it. It's a great resource. This is my peer network that I referenced earlier. We can't bring this up for privacy reasons, but what you do is you click on here and you can identify, like you want to look at someone by a functional title or by a industry or by its location as well. And it'll identify who signed up for that peer network that I showed you in the profile and allows you to position a query, goes through our server, and if they're interested in responding, they'll click on it and it puts you in contact directly. Great resource. So that's the knowledge base. The benchmarking portal is, as I mentioned, the assessment tools where you can do benchmarking. And this is our most comprehensive, so I'm going to kind of go backwards. I'm going to start with the open standard benchmarking. This will give you a little bit of information. You can read through this. Members and non-members participate. And you can look at those lists of participants. Non-members pay $5,000 per survey. Members, all 24 of the assessment tools are part of their membership. These research areas are aligned around the process classification framework. Doesn't mean you have to be using it, it's just the way that we classify our information. So again, looking back at that human capital management process, these are the areas within HR that we collect data and do and best practices around. So we were looking at the retention, the reward and retain employees. Maybe that's something of interest. You would click on this. It gives you a little bit of information about how we're collecting the information, what we're looking at. And what I encourage you to do is to look at the performance measures to see if this aligns with what you're looking to collect. So first is a little bit of a glossary. We'll get down to the specific survey and retain employees. This is actually a very light survey. There's 31 measures. This is an internal ID number that helps us track that metric. This is the actual metric, total cost to perform the process group, reward and retain employees to $1,000 revenue. And this is the 2 pieces of data. And these are their corresponding these very carefully if there's changes. And so you need to be able to supply this information to yield this metric. We show that as a KPI, a key process indicator. Doesn't mean it may be for your district, but we have found that in most, people are using this as a KPI. So we collect measures around 4 different areas across all of the surveys. So it would be cost effectiveness, cycle time, process efficiency, and staff productivity. And this is relevant, so if you want to benchmark in different areas, your accounting area, your procurement area, it's all apples to apples and specific to what you're doing. You're doing the same. This Excel data collection tool, which houses, again, the survey. It'll take a minute to bring this. It's going to take a minute to open that up. But in here, you'll find our it's a data collection tool, and there's several tabs. So there'll be terms, the instructions, the background. Survey is here so that you can take a look at that survey and see if it's something that you are interested in completing. You can print this out. And then again, you'll have the glossary because we want, and you can reach out to us at any time, and we encourage that. If you're completing the survey and you have a question like, what does that mean? How does that relate? We want you to call because we want this to be as comprehensive and apples to apples for organizations to get meaning out of it. So if it's something you think you might be interested in, you can go in and collect the data. 65% or more needs to be completed in order to yield a report. And we do that because we want to make it a meaningful activity for you. If you answer one question, that's not going to be meaningful. So you go in, it goes through a 7-step validation process where we'll cull through the data. We throw out any junk data if it's a district or if it's an organization that signs in with a made-up email or Gmail, we'll throw that out. Then we'll see what anything that's 2 or more standard deviations from the from the norm, we'll reach out just to confirm. Doesn't mean it's wrong. So we go through a really, it's a stringent validation process. All data is normalized, aggregated, and blinded to ensure privacy. We've never had a breach of conduct, so of confidentiality. So that is the very comprehensive way to get data. Looking at the rapid performance, this is what I talked about is the high-level assessment. And it's very similar, the way that we do this. So you're going to, again, if you look at develop and manage human capital, you'll see the reward and retain assessment. In this case, it's only going to be a few measures. Because in this case, it's going to give you a high-level kind of touch point. You've got 4 measures. And again, you would go through the same process. You would go through the, you would access the survey in the Excel data collection tool, submit that, and the turnaround time for that once we've gone through our validation process is 2 days. And then finally, and probably one of, it's very, very popular is our benchmarks on demand, where organizations just don't want to share data, they don't have data. So you can just go in and pull up what we've collected. So again, looking at the reward and retain employees, this is going to bring up all the measures that we collect. And you can scroll through those and pick 1, you can pick 3, or you can select all. And when you select all, you'll see, or whenever you select whatever ones you want to do, it now highlights to select the peer group, because that's the next thing that you need to do. So, and you need to name these because, as I said, we update every night at midnight. Downloads are stored in your profile. There's a place for downloads, because in a couple of weeks, if you look at this may have changed. So, as we've made this initiative to include to focus on K through 12, we need to have 6 or more data points to share data. So right now, a lot of where education falls is under services. You may, in some cases, as we are getting more and more people participating in doing surveys and collecting that 6 data points, you'll see education K through 12. So I'm going to pick this for now. You can pick a location, you can pick an operating budget, you can do this, and then you can view the report. So this will show you that in the industry, and these are individual buckets. So this would be within services, the data point, we have a sample size of 6. The other cost of reform, the process group as a percentage is 2.54 at the bottom, 6.29, and 7.92 at the top quartile. And again, you can see this across the screen. North America by location, the operating budget, and then all companies. So you can see it against the entire database. You can export that to a PDF or Excel. And again, this has been instrumental for organizations that are focusing on something and they take a look at works, you can develop your processes and upload that. It's a great tool, and as I said, I would love to have, if there's some interest in having a more detailed overview on this, please feel free to reach out to me, and I would love to set that up for you. We can do it in about 30 minutes. So let's see, we want to go back to the PowerPoint. Okay, so we've just completed our kind of the resources. A little bit of a recap. When you join APQC, one of the great features is it includes all school district employees, so everybody has access. It's not just a limited number of seats. And so the resources include the online searchable knowledge base, which gives you best practices, reports, case studies, tools, and templates. The benchmarking portal, which shows you you have access to instant benchmarks and comprehensive performance assessments. The Ask Us, which I showed you, is a great resource. As I said, it kind of gives you your connection to a subject matter expert. There's several monthly expert-led webinars. And I'm here as your dedicated relationship manager to assist you with any requests. When you join, I take you through an overview. I, in some cases, do those for several different groups within a district. I am always here. I'm here. My sole purpose is to make sure you make good use of this. Oops. So what I would encourage you to do is, next steps, go in and register if you're not. Invite maybe your colleagues if this is something that you're talking about so that they can see what it looks like. Browse that knowledge base. As I said, in some cases you'll be able to download content about 10%, but you'll also be able to get that overview, see what's in there, because I don't think we are today, but if you email those in through your chat feature, I will see those and get back to you. As I said, you'll get this recording and slide deck probably tomorrow, I'm going to say, in the next couple days, but feel free to reach out to me, and I thank you all for attending.